All they seem to care about is putting out news that makes people feel warm and fuzzy, and making sure that Obama looks good. Unfortunately, the truth is that the U.S. economy is steadily getting worse, and 2013 is not looking very promising at all right now. Hopefully, at some point the mainstream media will take a break from coverage of the royal pregnancy and the latest celebrity scandals to report on the real problems, that we are facing right now. The following are 15 signs that the economy is rapidly getting worse as we head into 2013. Number 1. According to numbers that were just released, the number of Americans on food stamps has risen to a new all-time record of 47.71 million. That is a huge increase of more than 600,000 over the previous reading of 47.10 million. After about a year of slow growth, it looks like the number of Americans on food stamps is starting to skyrocket once again. Back in the 1970s, about 1 out of every 50 Americans was on food stamps. Today, about 1 out of every 6.5 Americans is on food stamps. Well, I don't know how the hell you can count someone as being a 0.5, but you can get the gist. Number 2. Youth unemployment in the United States is now at the highest level that we have seen since World War II. Number 3. According to Gallup, unemployment in the United States shot up very sharply during the month of November. Number 4. It looks like the unemployment numbers are likely to get even worse. Since the election, dozens of large companies have announced major layoffs. Overall, large companies have announced the elimination of more than 100,000 jobs since November 6th. So I thought Barack Obama was doing a good job for this government, for this country, for the world, as you people like to consider him. Not so. Number 5, according to the Wall Street Journal, of the 40 biggest publicly traded corporate spenders, half of them plan to reduce capital expenditures over the coming months. Number 6, small business owners all over America are declaring that Obamacare is going to force them to start replacing full-time workers with part-time workers during 2013. Number 7, one recent survey discovered that 40% of all Americans have $500 or less in savings. Number 8, a different recent survey found that 28% of all Americans do not have a single penny saved for emergencies. So let's say if another hurricane strikes the northern shores of New York, Jersey, or whatever you may consider as a great booming location in America, and no one got money for savings. If you even do the research, there's still certain places over here in the great tri-state area that are still suffering. The Rockaways, Queens ain't just magically bounced back, and Staten Island, you can forget about it. They're not coming back.
With us now is the Staten Island Borough President, James Molinari. The situation on Staten Island is grave, and it really has not gotten the attention from certainly the media, but also from authorities over the last 3 days. Are you finally starting to see some aid?
Well, we're seeing some improvement from the events that took place this morning.
Explain what happened this morning, because you basically, said some tough words about the Red Cross, saying, look, people shouldn't even donate because they're not there to help. And does that seem to have gotten at least the wheels moving a little?
Frustration turned into anger. There wasn't much help for the people of Staten Island. And I didn't see the Red Cross nowhere at all to be found. And the event that you see this morning with this young lady, I saw throughout Staten Island for the past 2.5 days, 3 days. Yeah. And there was no one there to answer these questions.
Why is that? Is it, just the bridges were out? Why? How do you explain it?
I'm not going to justify why or why not, because they weren't committed by me. But after today's outburst that we had this morning, there's been a lot of results. I had 10 buses come over from the Red Cross that are feeding the people and giving them soup. And Speaker Quinn has been absolutely excellent, sending over food and water. And Senator Schumer came down to have a press conference where we disclosed to him that there was a lack of help coming down to people that I saw coming into the shelter the day after the storm with no clothes on almost, no shoes on.
And there was nothing for them there?
No, we were stocked. The city's shelters were well stocked. Well, we ran out, and I gave them orders to go out and buy it. Just pay for it and buy it, and I'll vouch for it. But there was no answers for these people. Some of these people that came into the shelters, their homes had been destroyed the night before. They had no place to go. Where did they go when they leave the shelter?
Yeah.
I need answers. These people need answers.
It's frustrating that it takes you yelling to start to get some answers.
Well, you're not supposed to govern by yelling. But frustration went into anger.
Well, you gotta do
I
what
was
you gotta
actually
do.
angry, but it seems to have gotten some results.
What do you need most right now in Staten Island? What are your biggest needs?
Well, I need FEMA to be there, and I got a call from FEMA headquarters that I will have a squad there tomorrow attached to me.
So they said
to
they'll
speak
be
to the
there
people.
tomorrow.
Absolutely, he says, and it'll be attached to your office.
Okay.
And then we'll go throughout Staten Island. People want someone to speak to. How do I get help? From whom do I get help? How do my children go to school? They have no clothes.
Right.
They have no home. These are questions that should be answered by government. That's the function of government, is to do for people what people can't do for themselves.
Yeah.
And obviously there was no answers for them.
It's been several days since Hurricane Sandy hit the New York City metropolitan area, and to hear Mayor Bloomberg and other politicians talk about it on television, everything is returning to normal just fine. But the residents here at the Red Hook houses have a different story to tell. Most of the people I spoke with here at the Red Hook houses in Brooklyn didn't want to appear on camera, but they did have stories to share.
When this first happened, we had that surge that came up. You know, we didn't get no rescue teams here, and like I said, we had a lot of people have the children, and we was just stuck here. Then, and it was pitch black back here, and they said a girl got raped in 135, a 14-year-old girl, and people getting held up at gunpoint. It's crazy out here, you know. Basically now they put the faucets on, but you know that water's real polluted. Like the Red Cross, they've been supporting us with food, but with the lights, we're not getting no support with that.
They forgot Red Hook, you know? They really did. So, what can I tell you?
We come in here every day walking up all these flights in the dark, not knowing if somebody around the next corner waiting for us to attack us. People kicking in doors, you gotta come check your things. Up in here, where we live at, they have not sent anyone. It smells deserted because the compactor's not working. There's garbage in the hallways, feces all over. Like, it's disgusting.
I understand what he's doing, the mayor. He's taking care of the city first because there's where the money's at. Okay? Everything in the city's lit up already. You got people that ain't got no legs. They live in a wheelchair. How they gonna come downstairs from the 14th floor? How they gonna come down? Ain't no firemen, no ambulance. If anything happens to them, by the time the ambulance get upstairs, they need help. And that's why everybody's saying that the mayor doesn't care about the local bones. He don't care. All the interested in Manhattan.
This woman was willing to share her story and frustrations with the city on camera.
I just basically want to say this is absolutely inhumane. The mayor of New York, Governor Cuomo, Sarah Gonzalez, Felix Ortiz, Bill de Blasio, the whole shenanigan. They can all claim how great it is. It is not great. Not until they walk in our shoes, live what we live, smell what we smell, see what we see. They cannot say that it's great. When the lights go out, so does everyone else. There's no work being done. There was feces. There was food. There are maggots that were coming out of our incinerators. There were water bugs crawling through our ceilings. Not until you take a tour of this building and you live what I live, don't talk to me about I'm irate or I'm upset. I am.
When power will be restored here at the Red Hook houses remains to be seen. But in the meantime, residents here would like to at least be acknowledged by their city in their time of trouble.
These people like to go on with that illusion that just because the so-called unholy days are rising and rolling, that everything is better. Ho, ho, ho. Get a tree. Christmas. And let's drink eggnog. You people are drunk off philosophy, man. Number 9, 62% of middle-class Americans say that they have had to reduce household spending over the past year. Number 10, many Americans are trying to make ends meet for their families by going into more debt. Consumer borrowing hit another brand new record high in October. It looks like the American people have not learned from their past mistakes and have decided to roll up consumer debt at a faster pace than ever before. Number 11. Median household income in America has fallen for 4 consecutive years. Overall, it has declined by over $4,000 during that time span. Number 12. Wall Street bankers are expecting the worst bonus season. Boo-hoo. Since 2008. Not a lot of people are going to shed tears over this one. But this is a sign that there is trouble in the financial world. Number 13. Food banks all over America are reporting that more needy families than ever before are showing up to get food. Number 14. As I wrote the other day, the federal government has run a deficit of $292 billion during the first 2 months of fiscal 2013. That figure is $57 billion higher than it was during the same period last year. Government debt continues to soar widely, out of control, and at some point all of that debt is absolutely going to crush us. Number 15. I have written previously about how the once great city of Detroit has become a symbol of the downfall of the U.S. economy. Well, now the state of Michigan is laying the groundwork for a managed bankruptcy of Detroit. Sadly, many other large U.S. cities will likely follow suit over the next couple of years. We should truly mourn for what is happening to Detroit. At one time, it was one of the most beautiful cities on earth, but now it is on the cutting edge of America's economic decline. Well, there's nothing to mourn about. I mean, if you're not in the truth, if the spirit of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua isn't working with you, ain't nothing to mourn about. As you can see, we're living in the time of America's judgment. The fact that Detroit is in the stinker is showing you how close the Lord is to making a second coming before this place gets destroyed. You can see some amazing before and after pictures of an abandoned Detroit school right here. Sadly, what is happening to Detroit will soon be happening to the rest of the country. A similar thing is happening over in Europe. Greece is on the cutting edge of Europe's economic decline, and people over there are becoming very desperate. Riots, as you may be familiar with what's been going on in Greece. If you're in the know, the Spirit is working with you. Over there in Greece, you have riots, violent protests, to where they're storming Parliament, demanding that those austerity measures or those harsh cuts be brought back. But there's no pulling back from this cup that you people are receiving. It's time for your devastation. It's time for the wicked's judgment, which the wicked being you so-called white people. There's no difference between you so-called Greek white people or the American crackers. You're all Edomites. Your forefathers' lineage goes back to the so-called Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia, then you are an Edomite according to the Holy Bible. Despite if you have a black mother, you tear babies out there. Or use that consider yourself Indian when your father is a paleface and your mother had spread her legs for the damn devil. And neither for you lighter shade Hispanics either. You're not getting off the hook elsewhere. If your forefathers' lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, then you are a devil, you are a cracker, and you're living in the fall of your empire. Reading on. The following is an excerpt from a Financial Post article about how the Greek middle class is turning to crime as the depression in that nation gets even worse. In the once stable neighborhood of Cordelio, the unemployed and drug users gather in the parks, scaring away mothers and children, and crimes like chain snatching are on the rise. Many longtime residents have left, moving abroad or to their families' villages, leaving behind empty houses, said Evangelia Rambo, 58, who has lived in Cordelio for 22 years. is not just Greece that is grappling with these kinds of issues. Now even countries that have been thought to be stable are experiencing significant problems. For example, a massive crime wave has broken out in France. The crime wave in France is becoming blamed on austerity, but the government of France still spends far more than it brings in. So how bad would things get in France if the French government actually did go to a balanced budget? And how bad would things get in the United States if the federal government was not stealing more than $100 million an hour from our children and our grandchildren? Taxes, all these different fares getting raised, all these different legislations getting passed for that you people's rights to be taken away from you. And don't get too close to your firearms for you so loving, amendment reciting constitutional Americans.
Every day that the government continues to govern the way that they are, we are losing those liberties and freedoms, folks. And make no mistake, they want to grab the guns. 2.5 weeks ago, an executive order came out through the president on a Friday afternoon that basically gives him and all the secretaries, Secretary of Agriculture, State, Education, Energy, the right to take anything that they deem is necessary for the United States government. They can take your car, they can take your home, they can take your food, they can take your fuel, they can take you, and they can take you and put you in military service, i.e. a draft. And there's nothing you can do about it, including they can take your guns. These are the things that our government is doing to us, folks. And if we don't stand up for our rights, it won't be long before they take away the ammunition, start taxing the ammunition. And that's one thing, I will never vote for anything legislative-wise that will take away any amendment right, especially the Second Amendment.